What up, Player Profiler Nation? It's Matty Kiwoom, and welcome to the latest episode of The Game Plan. Today, we're talking about sleepers, not just sleepers. We're talking about sleepers specifically in Dynasty. We're not talking ADPs. We're not talking about drafts. We're talking about the guys who have seen their value crater or plateau, and these are the guys that we expect to have a big boost in value over the course of the 2024 season. I got a very, very special guest on today's show, so you're going to want to stick around for it. Ladies, gentlemen, get out your pens, get out your pads, and let's start game planning to dominate our Dynasty leagues. So, planners, my guest today is one half of the Dynasty Warzone, a show you can find each and every Sunday night right here on the Player Profiler network of shows. My man, Jerry Sinclair. What's going on, Jerry?
What's
First
up,
time
homies?
on the game plan. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's see. Calling me a special guest was a bit of a stretch, but I do appreciate it.
No, of course, dude.
It's good to talk to you. You know, unfortunately, I was not there in Detroit, but I absolutely love that you guys were in my stomping grounds, literally the city I grew up in.
Yeah.
How you guys picked that one, I'll never know. How are you, buddy? You good?
Doing good. Very excited here. I mean, we were just talking before the show that this is the time of the year that these cold places that we live, Iowa, Massachusetts, it's thawing out. We're getting sunshine. I got shorts on, t-shirt. The kids are outside playing with water, and we don't have to worry about them catching hypothermia. So it's a great time. You know, it's a great time to be alive.
Yeah, it's good. I got bit by a mosquito already, though, so there we have found the downside of it. But
The mosquitoes are out.
but
And I saw a couple ants. Ants are downside of the summer.
No, yeah, they are. But no, it is nice. I mean, I got to deal with tornadoes out here in the Central Plains, but other than that, I can actually see the sun. You know, that's the first time in like 3 weeks I've seen it, so I'll take it. It's a good day.
Yeah.
It's probably because I'm here with you.
It could be. I mean, every Saturday that I get a chance to talk to someone like you, Jay, I mean, this is the best. We can't always hang out, but this is like a workaround. This is like a way we can pretend like we're hanging out.
For me,
it's a treat. Well, hey, listen. Special guests get special treatment. Special teams, special plays, special players. Jerry Sinclair, that's what I'm talking about here today, baby. And we're talking about Dynasty sleepers. So there's a lot of sleeper talk right now in the fantasy football streets, but there are a lot of underdog fantasy, you know, the best ball sleepers, the startup sleepers. We're getting close to the redraft sleepers. But today, Jerry, I wanted to bring you on, you know, the Dynasty Warzone. Obviously, you guys cover all aspects of Dynasty. You guys have been going over some buys, sells, veteran variety, rookie talk. You guys have been doing it all. So I thought we could kind of put all that together here in the game plan, and we could come up with 10 players that we consider dynasty sleepers. And dynasty sleepers, you know, as we put in the notes, are players whose value has fallen or plateaued. And we predict that it will go up throughout the 2024 season. So we have 3 veterans each, 2 rookies each. And then maybe if you stick around to the end of the show, you could be a part of a little sprinkle on top, a little doozy. League winners, maybe. Jerry, maybe. Well, let's go. Let's get right into it. We got 3 bets.
I like all the ones we picked for league winners too. Just saying.
You're gonna want to stick around for that because he's right. We got a couple of good ones, and we're gonna dive into it. But first, 3 sleeper veterans in Dynasty. Jerry, who is your first
guy? It's a guy that I have long not liked either, which is gonna seem weird because I'm a Detroit Lions fan, but it's Jameson Williams. Now, do I think Jameson Williams is going to be where you drafted him to be in your rookie drafts? No. No, I don't. But we have finally started to see at least some momentum towards some productivity. So does that make him increase in value and you can flip him at some point? Because at some point, he's going to do something like he did in the conference championship game against the 49ers. Nice passing. Yikes. English is tough at 11 a.m. here. He had a nice receiving touchdown and he had an unbelievable rushing touchdown. And if he does that, just because of where he went in rookie draft several years ago, there's still a little hype hive. And the hype hive gets louder every single time and you can profit that way. Not saying he's going to win you your league, but I do think he's going to be exponentially better. We got Josh Reynolds is gone, so it's just Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams. Ben Johnson's offense has proven that it can absolutely support tons of people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go out on a limb and pick somebody that I have generally not liked in Jameson Williams. But go Lions.
The value came down. Yeah, the value comes down enough that that you could be a fan of a player you never thought would be excited about because the price comes down quite a bit, and you can bring a guy on like James Williams. Now, I'm hearing some good things out of camp. I know this is the year of chatter and positivity and kumbaya and all that good stuff. But what are the type of things you're hearing? You're a Lions fan, so you might be listening closer than most. Like, what are you hearing about Jameson Williams? I'm hearing some good things.
Yeah, and it's all hype. So I don't want to say that's what's playing into why I'm saying this, because I can fall down that rabbit hole. Don't give me the opportunity to think my Detroit Lions are going to do very well. And I can see Ford Field in the background. I appreciate what you've done. It gets the blood flowing to areas that are not on the camera, and I appreciate it. But no, I just think his role, we've seen him grow incrementally, frustratingly incrementally, but incrementally nonetheless. And we finally saw in the biggest moments, he was getting big plays. And that's a sign of confidence that they have in him. So I think it's going to grow.
So we actually have someone in the chat. Rubio just got an offer for JMO. He's going to get Jameson Williams and 25 seconds for either Metcalf and Nico in a 25 third. What are your thoughts on this potential trade where he could bring on JMO?
I am not flipping DK Metcalf for him. I am keeping DK, but I'm also a fanboy of DK. Mm-hmm. The little rookie draft hype boys that I was talking about, when they took a guy early and they love him. That's me and DK Metcalf. Okay. I'm never quitting him.
Just can't quit the guy. Well, turns out Rubio did not make the trade, so there you go. There we go. He declined. Good job, Rubio. Good job. My first sleeper here, my first dynasty sleeper here. It's kind of an ugly one too, but it's a similar player. Jahan Dotson, wide receiver for the Commanders. And it really just comes down to this. His best player comparable on Player Profiler, Tyler Lockett. It took Tyler Lockett 4 seasons to break out. So maybe it's something to do with this size, profile, skill set. But when you look over his first 2 years in the league, there are some things that you kind of like the 7 receiving touchdowns as a rookie. But there are a lot of things that you don't really like 17 games, only 500 receiving yards last year. But there's a massive improvement at quarterback, going from Sam Howell and Jacoby Brissett to Jaden Daniels. We saw Jaden Daniels light it up for 40 touchdowns. He could throw the deep ball. He could put some touch on it. And I think he's going to be a pretty good complement to Jahan Dotson's game. And the two could be kind of like that developing wide receiver quarterback love, because Terry McLaurin, he's definitely there. He's a leader in the locker room. He's the best receiver they have. But again, he's a little bit older. And Jahan Dotson now is going to come in. He's going to enter at age 24 this year. And if he can make that third-year leap, which, we always talk about the wide receiver third-year breakout seems to be a pattern that you can semi-rely upon. I think that right now, given Jahan Dotson's value just in the tank, we're talking like an outside of the top 200 dynasty player overall. And those prices get pretty cheap. I got Jahan Dotson for 24 fourth in a draft. And that's, I think, just some people are just done with.
That person was done for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's the market for him, right? But
right,
I think it's just an example of how depreciated his value is right now.
Yeah, we're definitely relying on Jaden Daniels. If Jaden Daniels is a guy, then absolutely Dotson's going to have an opportunity. I would pay you more than a fourth. I will let you know that. I am friendlier to Mr. Dotson than that. Yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see. But yeah, we had Sam Howell's going to be a shoe clerk or an insurance salesman soon enough. No disrespect. He could crush me with his wallet, but
and he could be a good one. He could be a very good insurance salesman.
100%.
You know, he could be a Hall of Fame insurance.
But I just I don't see a long NFL career coming from Mr. Howell. Jane Daniels, on the other hand, assuming he could stay upright, he absolutely could be in this league and be successful for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm for it. I like it. And that's another one of those guys that it's been popular to hate, which makes them cheaper to acquire.
Yeah. Oh,
and,
yeah.
And what's the floor? What do you really like? You traded a fourth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if a fourth fell out of my pocket while I was walking, I wouldn't bend down and pick it up. Like I would just I would let it sit there.
Yeah. I understand it. Jahan Dotson, Jameson Williams, similar players in terms of how we've been disappointed. But again, first round picks, right, on good offenses that are proven that they can sustain multiple pass catchers in fantasy. I think we're off to a hot start here, Joe. Who's the next veteran buy in Dynasty? The veteran sleeper in Dynasty.
This one's weird because it's a person that did not do very much last year. But I'm going to go with Tucker Kraft because everybody seems to be hyping up Luke Musgrave, which, not to say Luke Musgrave is not good. I mean, Tucker Kraft had a few more yards than him. He had an extra touchdown on top of him. I don't know. Like I'm always going to take the cheaper guy when I have similar production. And I liked the guy at San Diego, or not San Diego State. I gotta wake up. I might do some jumping.
South Dakota
State. Yeah.
Jack
Rabbits.
Yeah. Give us 20, Jerry. Drop and give us 20.
But no, he's dirt cheap. He's free. If you're in a tight end premium league, okay, nobody's holding on to him. You know, he's probably someone else's pocket lint out in your league. So if you can acquire him, that's a deal. And let's be honest, tight end is in general a barren wasteland. So grab as many of those $1 scratch offs that you can in the hopes that somebody does good 2 or 3 weeks in a row. Because what you're not really going to see is, unless you see the Sam Laportas of the world, you're not going to see it for giant chunks of time. I only need 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'm going to flip them for profit every single time. So not a sexy guy, not a sexy guy that I picked. I'm sorry that I picked a super boring guy.
That's sleepers. Are sleepers sexy? I don't think they can be. I think fundamentally they can't be.
Listen, I bet you are sexy when you are sleeping, but that's a different podcast.
Maybe. Nah, no way. Tucker Kraft. Listen, Tucker Kraft was taken in the 3rd round by the Green Bay Packers. I know they took Musgrave a round earlier, but the confidence in the player is what we're betting on here. And we're not having to bet a ton. And I think that's really what we're trying to drive home here early on in the episode is you buy now, you get in now, whether you have to add or make a trade, and then you could flip for profit, or you could keep them on your team as an appreciated asset. Like you could dynasty him a multitude of ways, and picking off a lot of these guys, these players that are around 200 in the rankings. They're considered maybe a outside of the top 175 dynasty asset. You just put them on your team and see what happens, because there are players that come out of nowhere. And that's what I'm kind of banking on here with the next fantasy sleeper or dynasty sleeper is Jelani Woods, tight end from the Indianapolis Colts. Jelani Woods, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm the Jelani Woods guy. That's my man, Jason Allwine. Jason has been all over Jelani Woods this entire offseason. And then a report trickled out yesterday that Shane Steichen and Anthony Richardson are appreciating the things that Jelani Woods brings to the table. And those things are his size and his athleticism, 6'7", 252 pounds. Ran a 4.61 40. He is the most or the 11th most athletic tight end in the history of the Player Profiler athleticism scores. And now he's going to be healthy. Shane Steichen didn't really get a chance to coach him last year. He was dealing with that hamstring injury. He's going to come back this year, 2024, 100% healthy. and he's going to be another weapon for Anthony Richardson in this hopefully high-powered Indianapolis Colts offense. And at this position, you mentioned it a few minutes ago, it's a dumpster fire. This is not pretty landscaping here. We're not looking for the hot tickets at tight end. We're looking for a couple weeks of production, and we're looking for guys who can score touchdowns. And Jelani Woods, at 6'7", 250 pounds, can jump. He's an athletic guy. He seems to me like a guy that will always have, 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10 touchdown upside if this offense does take the requisite steps in the evolution that we're hoping for. So Jelani Woods, you want to talk about free 99? This guy you might get paid to take this guy off someone's roster. So that PlayerProfiler in Dynasty right now, he's tight end 42. So you want to talk about free 99? Jelani Woods as a Dynasty sleeper. And again, I'm not going to take credit. It's all Jason. But now I have it on record, Jerry, that I too am tooting the horns of Jelani Woods.
You want to talk about getting the blood flowing to the areas where the camera is not showing. Randy has not shut up about Jelani Woods for what seems like 18 straight months.
Yep. Another one. Another big Jelani Woods believer.
I'm with you. And he convinced me. So I got him he's just chilling. He's just chilling in my back seat on my roster. And I'm just waiting to pull him up to shotgun. So I can dig it. I can dig it. I mean, how many times can you say 6'7"? Because it's wild.
It's wild.
That is the same species as me. Like, bro could just crumple me up and just put me under his arm and walk me around like it was nothing. Absolutely emasculate me.
Just a power forward. He's gonna have the chance. Yeah, absolute beast.
I mean, what are you gonna do? You gonna put a safety on him? Stop it.
Right.
Listen, he had minimal competition, and this sort of goes back to Jaden Daniels. If Anthony Richardson ends up being him, to use some verbiage of the kids, if he is him, the offense is going to be good. And Shane Steichen, we've seen him be good, so we know the possibility is there. So absolutely, I'm going to take shots, especially on that position that a lot of us. Now, I say that I'm a snob dynasty purist who looks down my nose at leagues that are not tight end premium. If you're not playing in tight end premium, I understand, but in those sorts of leagues, or even 2 tight end leagues, where
for sure 2 tight
ends are just absolute gold mines, I'm gonna take as many stabs on guys like that, especially with that minimal competition, because it we'll find out what the role is for a tight end in that offense. But if that person gets all of that role, that makes them extremely valuable in a position like fantasy football, where tight ends are in general poop.
They are poops, and they're touchdown dependent, and that's what we want. That's what we're looking for: touchdown dependent tight ends. Tucker Kraft, Jelani Woods. If they break out this year,
we got to take shots on tight ends just because of how bad it is. They don't want to make this game easy on us, which is unfortunate. I'm lazy. That's why I come on these shows, Matty, because I have a notebook.
That's what I always say too. I always say that. Yes, that I do this show selfishly to get better at Dynasty football.
Exactly. So as for my last guy, I picked a guy that's a little more sexy this time. Now, not
turn
super
up the sex appeal.
12 months ago, this was one of the sexiest mans in Dynasty, but today, a little more depressed. Got a little change of scenery. Didn't exactly explode like everybody wanted him to. Tony Pollard. And now, I'm a person that didn't really love Tony Pollard. And I thought, Jerry, let's see what we got going on. I mean, he's had back-to-back 1,300-yard seasons.
Yeah.
Did you know that? Like, that blew my mind. I never would have guessed in the world, because it was the most boring 1,300 yards a human being has had since Alfred Morris did it like 10 years ago.
Yeah. Alfred
I was honestly flabbergasted. And I know Tyjae Spears is a thing that exists, and he did show some things as a rookie, but Tony Pollard moves from the Cowboys, goes to a less desirable location. I still think he's probably the best. I still think he's in the the driver's seat to the primary running role. And his value has just plummeted perceptively because of that move and because he didn't explode when Zeke was gone last year. But Tony Pollard, back-to-back 1,300-yard seasons. So if I can pull 1,100 yards out of the guy, 1,050 out of the guy, for what his price is right now, that's outrageous. Like that's stealing money.
And the Tony Pollard play, Jerry, it's also kind of a Tajay Spears having no ACL play.
Right. Which
like I mean, Tajay Spears, we like Tajay Spears. His game coming out of college, coming out of Tulane was awesome. Then you find out my man doesn't have an ACL. And I don't know if you know this, Jerry, but it's pretty important to have ACLs in your knees when you play football.
Now, to the people that are watching, they can clearly see that I am not an athlete, so I don't know the importance of ACLs on an athletic field. But from what I have heard, yes, very important.
The rumors are in, and they're loud, and they're saying that ACLs are very important to running back staying on the field. It's funny. We've been kind of lockstep here in who we play. And that's funny because when I come on Dynasty Warzone, Memphis is always like, you guys are just, should I leave the room? Because Jerry and I always
that's because he's an ornery asshole. And we're not old ornery assholes. He's always yelling off his porch at me every time. God forbid I trade for Tua, and then it's the end of the world.
Oh, that's hilarious. But anyway, it's once again shown the bromance is real, Jerry, is what I'm trying to say. The bromance is freaking real because I'm going to go kind of in the same vein that you are here. We went tight end together. We went wide receiver together. We're going to go running back together. And this dynasty sleeper, Najee Harris, running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you look at, the keep trade cut, and I know people have their opinions of keep trade cut, but when we're doing shows like this, we have to use these tools to kind of give us a barometer of value. Okay. We can't just pull shit out of our ass. And if you look at keep trade cut, you can see from September to the end of the year, his value plummeted. And even with, the improvements to the offensive line, even with the change at quarterback and at offensive coordinator, we really haven't seen the value of Najee Harris shoot up really at all. PlayerProfiler right now has him ranked as the 27th ranked running back, outside of the top 100 overall. And let's not get it twisted about Najee Harris. Najee Harris in 3 years in the NFL has gone over a rack every single year. He is a 1,000-yard rusher every single season. I know last year he didn't get the passing volume that we really liked as a rookie. But does that change this year? I happen to think it does. Now, there's going to be a lot of, Jalen Warren fans out there, and I'm not here to say that I don't like Jalen Warren. But I am here to say that Najee Harris has the first-round pedigree. Najee Harris has done nothing but rush for 1,000 yards each of his first 3 years in the league. And, Arthur Smith can take all the criticisms in the world for being a head coach. All us fantasy gamers will throw unlimited amount of tomatoes at that joker for how he ran the offense in Atlanta as the head coach. But as offensive coordinator, he's been pretty fantasy friendly, right? I mean, in Tennessee, we got A.J. Brown seasons out of him. We got the best 2 years of Tannehill's career while he was there. And then Derrick Henry, the workhorse, the big dog. Not saying Najee Harris is Derrick Henry, but Najee Harris is a freak athlete. He's one of the bigger running backs in football. And Arthur Smith just hasn't really shown really a liking to splitting a backfield down the middle. I know us Bijan rosterers are pissed at how he was used last year, but that was really just kind of that sick game was kind of, and then I don't know. There was just a lot more of head-scratching fiasco with Arthur Smith as a head coach in Atlanta. He's not the head coach. He's offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So when I look at Najee Harris, I think of a guy that if I could lock in as my running back 3 right now, he's going to have running back 1 upside on a week-to-week basis. This is the type of guy, Jerry, I'm trying to get. Najee Harris.
So I gave Randy a little bit of stuff earlier, my last segment. On this one, I will say that I have to give him respect because I never usually show prep and I always just sort of wing it every single time. But since I was a guest, I literally texted you and I said, "Hey, if I'm bored at work, I'll get that document filled out." I filled it out this morning. That was about a week ago. So give credit to Randy for dealing with that and you now dealing with it. But the reason why I bring that up now is because had I done this when I was supposed to, unlike a dreadful co-host, I would have put Najee Harris down because
yes.
Listen, when everybody's zigging, you gotta zag. And for whatever reason, Najee Harris is like the least popular, the least sexy running back that anybody ever does. And yeah, 1,000 yards rushing, but also, I mean, he gets receiving yards too. 1,600 yard season, 1,300 yard season last year. Oh, Najee Harris is so terrible. Oh my God, he's the worst player in the world, Jerry. He had 1,200 yards. He had 8 touchdowns.
Right.
Jesus, you spoiled brats. What the hell do you want from him?
Dude, what do you want from Najee?
Yeah, and that's with the Kenny Pickett-led offense, which, I mean, throw me out there and it's going to be half as good as that. But like, what? I mean, listen, we can hate on Russell too. We can hate on Justin Fields. Is there 2 more guys that have been more hated on in a quarterback room? No, probably not.
No.
It's still better than Kenny Pickett.
That's years better, right? Years better. This
that's what I mean.
Way better.
Yeah, well, I am all aboard Najee Harris. That's another one of those trade opportunities that presents itself where everybody looks down on him, but his production is still good. Easy grab.
So.
Easy grab.
Down year, 1,200 yards. You love to see it. And
like what? What is he? 25? 25. Yes, 25 years old, 1,200 yard season.
25, Jerry, 25.
He's a crumb bum. Throw him away. Useless. Jesus, man. But then we'll fight over tight ends that get you 350 yards. Like that's the difference between running backs and tight ends in this game. We're snobs.
Bunch of spoiled brats. Bunch of damn spoiled brats when it comes to the running back position. There's no doubt about it. And we're here today, Jerry, to spoil the shit out of all the game plan watchers because we're not done. We still got 4 rookies, and then we're gonna go with the surprise league winner picks at the end. But before we do any of that, we want the planners here today to hear about the Dynasty Dominator.
Now, I know many of you are looking for a secret weapon for your Dynasty League, and I have it. It's called the Dynasty Dominator app. You go to the App Store, go to Google Play. It's right there. It's $5 to download, and then every year it's $5 to load the next incoming class of rookies. You can add Superflex, add tight end premium. It's incredible because it allows you to look up players. It allows you to vote on whether a player is a buy, hold, or sell, and then see the market sentiment on that player. And you can compare their lifetime value rating from PlayerProfiler to their Dynasty ADP at the FFPC, all in the price lookup tool. And beyond that, we have a trade analyzer, so you'll never lose another Dynasty trade again. And in our settings, you can set this is a win now team, this is a rebuilding team, and then we let you compare players. Look at their metrics side by side, prospect metrics, NFL metrics. It's all there. It's $5 in the App Store. There's some add-ons for Superflex and to buy the upcoming rookie class. Every year, you're going to spend $5 on this thing, and it's going to be well worth it.
The game plan, Matty Kiwoom, Jerry Sinclair, Dynasty Sleepers. We started with the vets. Now let's go with the rookies because some drafts have already happened. Some drafts haven't. Doesn't really matter for this conversation because we're talking about sleepers that you can acquire pretty affordably, whether it be in rookie drafts or in just trade possibilities in your league. So, Jerry, go ahead.
I mean, Dylan Laube.
Talk about yes.
I mean, listen, is he a sleeper? No, because I feel like everybody loves him. But every time you're in a rookie draft, he slips a little bit further than you want. Listen, watch the guy play the game. He's clearly good. Like he looks like he can just do everything that you want to. He makes it look smooth. It's one of those times when you just watch him and you just see an NFL player. And that's what I see with this guy. But the most critical thing is he's in an offense without an established running back. Zamir White is fine.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a chance that Zamir White is the guy and he ends up being good. But that's another guy. Didn't have great draft capital. Hasn't seen a ton of love. I mean, I don't want to say that it's set up perfectly for Dylan, but if there was ever a situation this man could gone into that would be more conducive for his early success, I don't really think there is. So, I mean, I haven't counted because I am a degenerate and I have several dozen dynasty leagues. But if I had to guess, I would assume Dylan Laube is my most owned player. Just because every time we get into that spot and I look at 15 names and I go, that guy. Every time.
Mm-hmm.
Don't care. Haters can hate. Easy peasy. And I mean, what am I talking? Late second, early thirds?
Sometimes even mid to late thirds.
That's what I'm saying. 2/3 of the time, those end up turning into wet socks. So even if I miss on bro, okay, that's what I assume. But
right,
he is absolutely in a situation where he can return you value, even if you don't believe him in as a player. If you do, ride him out. But he presents an opportunity that if something were to happen to Zamir White, or if Zamir White profiles as he has profiled, he's going to have that opportunity, and you're going to be able to gain profit on where you took him in the third. And that's what sorry, I'm just rambling, but that's what I'm going to do with rookie sleepers every single time. Is I'm almost always going to go running back. I'm going to follow our fearless leader, Mr. Matthew Kelly, my father. He's our father, but
he might be the pod father, but he's Jerry's father.
That's right. But I'm always going to follow his strategy in these rookie situations, because running backs create opportunities that the moment they are even perceived as having a role, they increase in value. They don't even have to be good. Right. Now, once they are good and they're Najee Harris and they have 1,200-yard bad seasons, then we hate them. That's different. But when they're young and they have a perceived value that they may start, everybody loves them. So, Dylan Laube, buddy.
Let me ask you this though, Jerry, just as like a big picture thing. When you're thinking of sleepers, do you just naturally gravitate towards running backs because those are the guys that can come out of nowhere, where receivers, it's not likely? If you could find a sleeper receiver, his ceiling isn't the ceiling of a running back. Is that generally where you're scouring for sleepers, is the running back position?
It is. Just because they can return immediate value more often than not. Where do we see that with wide receivers? Puka Nacua. Like it happens. It happens for sure. I mean, that's an absolute home run. Killed it. But I mean, we've also seen the David Johnsons of the world, and even guys like Tony Pollard, like later round guys, will return back. Zamir White. We're in this situation literally with the guy that I'm talking about.
Yeah, right.
Like
exactly.
I don't really believe in Zamir White, but he has value. Now, will it end after week 1? I don't know. I don't know, but I still have that gap where he has the perceived value of being the perceived starter. So you can trade him. He has borderline 1-2 trade potential value. Now, not during rookie drafts, and nobody in their world, we hold on to those bad bitches like we don't go. But
that's great.
Ninja grip. So I do. I'm both of my guys are going to be running backs because it's always quick value.
Yeah, I agree.
One injury away, one bad game away from the starter gives them more opportunities. It's just quicker like that.
I love to throw bro science out there, Jerry.
Love it.
Dylan, they gave him 23. That's a cool number. That's a cool number. You don't give a guy 23 if you're just going to throw him in the back of your bench. I'm sorry, you don't.
Just 200
Not at
IQ
running
stuff.
back. Yes, the 23 is I don't even think he had that cool of a number in college. I think he was like 31 in college or something.
Oh, that's
like
a
that.
terrible number.
Right, and then you look at you might say, what is this guy talking about? Jersey number? Did you see Will Shipley at the rookie thing? 39, 39. Oh God, that is awful. And now if I saw Dylan Laube wearing 39, I'd have worries. I'd be like, oh shit, they're gonna Toby Gerhart this guy.
Bro
They're not
science, baby.
Yeah, no way. 23. You're expecting some electricity from 23, and that's why Dylan Laube is. I'm with you. I have him all over the place, all over the damn place, because you can get him so cheap, and I don't care even if there isn't an injury. He has his ability to make plays in the passing game is like no one else in this backfield. Nobody can do what he can in the passing game. And now, will there be a good passing game? I don't know, but we did see Zack Moss have a pretty healthy usage, numbers with Gardner Minshew last year. So could we see something like that for Dylan Laube? Yeah, absolutely. And we continue to talk about opportunity cost. Again, low opportunity cost can give you flexibility in Dynasty where you don't need him to be your RB1 to win a championship, to return value, to be excited about it. It could be I drafted him in the 4th, flipped him for a second. That's what we call that in the biz, Jerry. Profit. Fantasy profit. Make it rain, baby. Real quick before we move on to my rookie sleeper, we have some of the chat. Big Chill here. He's talking about Alexander Madison. Okay. Thinks the opportunity is better. The situation might be way better in Vegas. Is he a dynasty sleeper?
So my absolute vile hatred for his value last year is stopping me from saying yes. But in reality, yes, he is. He could absolutely be the guy. I that is the biggest thing with Dynasty is we never live in a world of absolutes. So yes, my biases make me not want to believe that. I hate you for putting this conundrum within myself. I'm at a existential break where it's like my one theory that I always truly believe about Dynasty is that nothing is absolute and anything can happen. And then I have to support Alexander Madison in the other hand. I will just take both of these fists and punch myself in the face.
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one. I'm seeing this in the chat here from the Fantasy Plumber. Is fantasy profit real? No, it's a fugazi, it's a whizzy, it's a wuzzy, it's fairy dust. You got to make it real. You got, whatever the scene is from Wolf of Wall Street.
No, that was flawless. That was so much better than I would have done it. You are a true professional.
All right, let's get into my first rookie sleeper, Javon Baker. Of course, now I can root for him as a fan, being a Patriots guy, but right now in Dynasty, Player Profiler has him ranked amongst some of the most hated assets at wide receiver. He's ranked right around the Romeo Dubes, the Jerry Judys, the Josh Palmers, the Mike Williams, the Gabe Davis. That is the wasteland for wide receivers. This is where Quentin Johnston, Jesus Christ, this is where receivers are just, no one likes these receivers. Nobody. And if they do, they're just lying because they don't. But Javon Baker, unlike these guys, has an opportunity to place himself on a team that I'm personally hoping is a better offense. But I think as a fantasy community, we can at least see a path where the Patriots are going to get better. You can't get much worse
100%.
than last year. Drake May's in town. They're hoping to get better. And Javon Baker, he had a high yards per out run last year. Saw great production at UCF. Former big-time prospect. He went to Alabama, then transferred to UCF. He really just fits that perfect X-receiver prototype that the Patriots have desperately needed now for years. I mean, they tried to do it with Devontae Parker. Nah. But But now you get a guy who had a 34% college target share, a guy who has been able to shoulder the load as a number one receiver on a Division I program, and he's going to go to a team that needs that role. Now, does he become the wide receiver one in terms of volume? I would put that likelihood probably at closer to no than yes, but again, Jalen Polk, Mario Douglas, Pop Douglas, are these guys
The
clearly better?
opportunity is there.
It's there, Jerry. It's there. So I'm gonna go with Javon Baker here. Any thoughts on Baker? Any thoughts on what he could be in relation to fantasy, obviously, but now that he's on the Pats?
With the wide receiver group that is in there, if he wants it, it's his. Dude absolutely has the talent. I think what I love most about Javon Baker is you saw similar receptions in his last 2 years at college, but you went from like 800 yards to like almost 1,200 yards because he was just making bigger plays.
Yeah.
And listen, I like Drake May, so I do think your offense is going to be better. Well, it will be better.
It has
There's
to be.
It's not going to be better, but I think it'll be respectable. And with it being respectable, he's the guy I've been taking stabs on as well. I would love to argue with you at some point, but I'm looking at the remainder of the names that are on here, and I don't think there's going to be an opportunity. But
I see it. But listen, the bromance is real. It is what it is. People have to deal with it. We're simpatico, my friend.
That's what we
I know. I look at your list the same way, and it's like, you're not going to get a bunch of discourse from me at all.
So my last guy for the rookie sleepers, I'm gonna go with Ray Davis. Now, Ray Davis, pretty productive. He's 181 years old as far as a college player is concerned. I think he's like 24. I think he's going to be 24, which in running back years is, I mean, you're over the hill already, and he's going in as a rookie at that, which I understand. But if you can pull off 1,400 yards in the SEC, you've been successful. You had whatever, like 1,200 yards the year before at Vanderbilt. Like, you played at two different SEC schools, and not exactly SEC schools that are known for having the most tremendous amount of talent in Vanderbilt and Kentucky. I mean, you're going against juggernauts, and you're that successful when you clearly have inferior offensive linemen and inferior offenses and everything else, and you were still successful. And now you're in a situation where I love James Cook. Don't get me wrong, Matthew. Love me some James Cook.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a different player. I mean, Ray Davis is an absolutely different player. And what you can't do in the NFL, and it's unfortunate. When I started playing this game when I was 17 years old, you could take a running back, and that running back got 14,000 carries that season, and everybody got points, and everybody had a wonderful time. That NFL doesn't exist anymore. It's unfortunate. Like I said earlier, I'm selfish. And I want this game to be easy, and I don't like when I have to try harder.
What's the opposite of try hard?
Yeah. Unfortunately, with running backs, tons of competition all the time, and we have to investigate as best we can. I like him. He looks good. He fights for everything. He's another one of those guys that just runs super smooth. And if he gets an opportunity, which I think he will, I think he's going to show out when he does. And I'm all for it. Because what we really need to do is get Josh Allen to quit running as much. He's not an old man by any means. I say that as a person that's probably like 10 years older than Josh Allen. But if we want longevity, we're going to need to see other guys taking the hits. And Ray Davis, man, he's cheap. I can put him in my pocket, throw him at the end, and if he gets a roll, I got a flex option, and that's what I'm doing with these picks.
We've seen Latavius Murray be fantasy relevant in this offense. We've seen the Buffalo Bills bring in Lombardi Lenny with the hopes of bringing on a big-bodied running back to take on that short yardage stuff, especially in the middle of the field. We don't need Josh Allen fighting for 3 yards on the 48. You understand? We need Ray Davis. And a lot of the belief in the drafting of Ray Davis was the Bills really need to slow the damn game down in the playoffs towards the end of the season. When you're in Buffalo and it's negative 400, you can't be dropping back to throw 50 times. You need a big boy to plow and make tackling easier. And this is going to make people throw up in their mouths. And I'm sorry to do so, but go look at the numbers. A.J. Dillon always seems to pop up for 20-point games in the fantasy playoffs and in the fantasy championship because it's dick-ass cold in Green Bay, and they don't want to run. They want to run the ball with someone who is tough to tackle, and it's always A.J. Dillon. That type of role in Buffalo is something I'm absolutely trying to buy onto. That's absolutely somebody, like you said, put him in your back pocket, let him sit on the bench, let him marinate, and you don't have to worry about it because it's a running back. And if he's on a 53, he's for me. And Ray Davis is in a good offense, in a good position, and he could do all those things. And if there is an injury to James Cook, look at what Ray Davis receiving totals in college. The guy can catch the ball, shows pretty good hands. So Ray Davis, again, is just another example of dynasty sleepers that you're going to want to put on your team now before people wake up and realize how valuable they are. The last rookie I'm going to go with is Tyrone Tracy. Tyrone Tracy got the fifth-round draft capital at the end of the fifth. He's going to be 25, but running backs, give me 2-year windows. Why make this harder on ourselves, Jerry? We want it to be easier, Jerry. Let's look at the running backs the way we should, like the way they're being used in the NFL. 2 years. So give me, a guy like Tyrone Tracy in his age 25, 26 seasons, the guy that's behind, Motor Singletary. Motor Singletary got a contract that will put him at the top of the depth chart, but it's not a contract that is going to give him the longest leash possible. Now, Singletary is a pro. I like Singletary. I think it's a good little pickup for the Giants. But what Tyrone Tracy can bring, I think his ceiling is a lot higher than a guy like Singletary. We're talking about similar size, but faster, very agile. And Tyrone Tracy played receiver in college. So he can bring a dynamic, aspect to that to that passing game for the Giants. So Tyrone Tracy is just another example of these running backs that I want to grab late in my rookie drafts. I want to trade for now while I still can for dirt cheap. Put them on the roster and just wait until the season because you're going to start seeing, you want to plant a few of these seeds, plant 3 or 4 of them. Maybe only 1, maybe only 2. Maybe all 4 come out. Maybe all spring. Beautiful little petals and flowers, and they become these beautiful garden of your fantasy team. But even if it's just 1, Jerry, we'll take those. We'll take those profits. And I think Tracy, Davis, Baker, and Laube are great examples of get now and watch the ascension play out in 24.
This is what I will say about Tyrone Tracy. If the Podfather himself was drafted by the Giants, I would still draft him in my rookie drafts because that backfield is nothing that's proven. So anybody that's going to be given an opportunity, anybody that can showcase any sort of game at all, has a track to a lot of playing time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I like Devin Singletary as much as the next guy, but the reason that he continues to be relevant is because he really doesn't get hurt. I mean,
yeah, right.
He is
Super
the
consistent.
most. He's the vanilla ice cream of running backs. Like, you're happy that you have ice cream, but it's not your favorite ice cream. He plays every game and he ends the season with 1,100 total yards. And you're like, oh, okay. And at the end of the year, you look at it and you go, oh, that's pretty good. Like, I can dig that. But when you're getting 6, 7, 8 points a game, week to week to week to week, that's when you hate him. You hate to have Devin Singletary in your starting lineup. But you sort of like it at the end of the season when you look at it and you go, that's actually not bad. I might be able to get something for this.
Yep.
Tracy has the opportunity to take him, which is why I love that situation. Love the strategy. I'm just going to keep regurgitating it because that's exactly what I do. Find the running back rooms that don't have guys that are established, no crazy contracts, don't have tons of immense success. Take the rookie. And listen, I know I said he doesn't get hurt. He's a running back. Father Time is undefeated unless you are Frank Gore. So at some point, something can happen, and that's going to create an opportunity. I think
Eric Gray
Gray's
is there.
droppable.
Yeah, Eric Gray droppable. Yeah, I think so too. Some guys in the chat think he's a stash. If you got the roster spots, you want to stash all running backs. We understand.
Yeah, 100%.
But in this vacuum, obviously, I think we would rather go the upside of a guy like Tracy, and mainly being the receiving game type of guy, and what he could bring. That I think that is what gives him a nice ceiling there. You brought up Father Time. Yesterday, I tweeted out something I saw in one of my leagues, and oh my God, you want to talk about Father Time being a cruel SOB? Yesterday, I saw Dalvin Cook dropped for Luis Reese-Zammit, a rugby player. Boy, does life come at you fast.
Yeah, that's a mean game.
It's a mean damn game. But it's just another example of how you're here in the first second, and in fantasy, you're gone. Dust. Dano has snapped his damn fingers. Jerry, we each have now a surprise for the guests. I mean, for the listeners. Bold sleepers. These are guys that we think are going to be league winners. Not just good. League winners that no one is talking about. And who doesn't love a good league winner in May? Who doesn't love throwing out the guy who's going to win your leagues in January in May of the previous year? Who doesn't love that? So let's get into it. We're going to go with our league winners here. I'll let you close out the show, so I'll go first real quick. And if anyone here has been tuning into any of the content that I've done at the Game Plan for Player Profiler, anywhere else, they're going to hear this and roll their eyes. But I know that this year in 2024, Antonio Gibson is going to be a league winner for fantasy football. He was signed by the New England Patriots. He got the 7th most lucrative running back contract this offseason, which doesn't sound like a lot because it's not. 7th isn't ranking high, but this was a particular year where we saw, Barkley, Jacobs. We saw a number of really, really good running backs signed. But his contract was better than Eckler's. It was better than Gus Edwards. It was better than Zack Moss's. It was better than Aaron Jones's. So that just says, not saying that he's mistakenly a beast in terms of the signing. I'm just letting people know that the Patriots actively chased and courted Antonio Gibson, and I think it is because he brings something to the team that Ramondre doesn't. Ramondre, he did have a season where he had nearly 70 receptions, but those receptions were check down cities in an offense that was being run by a special teams coach and a defensive coach. It was not the type of weapon that they want in the passing game where Antonio Gibson brings that. Antonio Gibson can be a nasty player for the Patriots in their passing game. And he's been in the league forever, but he's still only 25. And there's so much tread on the tires because the dude just wasn't being used. But this is also a guy, let's not forget, that has 2 seasons of double-digit touchdowns, 3 seasons of 40 or more receptions, and in his 1 season where he didn't get 40 at 36 receptions. He does have a 1,000-yard season under his belt. He has multiple years of 4.0 yards per carry or better. This is a guy that will play for the New England Patriots. And if there's an injury to Stevenson, which we did see in 2023, if we see a repeat to that, Antonio Gibson is going to be a league winner.
This is what I will tell you, Matthew. Goddamn spot on, brother.
Yes! Boom!
Hell yeah, brother. Nope, I'm with you. But now also, to circle back around with players that I have had a lot of negativity towards is going to be the friendliest way I'm going to put it. Ramondre Stevenson at the tippy top of that list because I don't think I've ever owned him in a league, which is wild when you got 25 of them. But nope, not my guy. Going to go Antonio Gibson in this 100 times out of 100. And you ready for this? Let's go Zacchaeus Malik Moss. One Zack Moss, the starting running back of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Talk to me
Now-
about it.
Now, here's the thing. When we saw Jonathan Taylor go down for the Indianapolis Colts last year, Zack Moss jumped in and went bananas.
Mhm.
And I'm going to be honest. I liked Zack Moss as a prospect. I think he fights for every yard. So I had some shares from his time in Buffalo. And you know what he did with those times and my love for him when he was in Buffalo? Not a thing to help me win. So pissed off. But then last year, by the time I've cut bait, obviously, because I am impatient and I'm done with Zack Moss and I have casted him off. And then he goes to the Indianapolis Colts. And as soon as Jonathan Taylor doesn't play, bro runs like an animal. Multiple 100-yard games, gets tons of touchdowns in that stretch. Looks good. Even when Jonathan Taylor comes back, looks pretty damn efficient. And then Joe Mixon goes away. And in steps Mr. Moss. Now, Joe Mixon is a guy that people love to hate on. But let's talk about what that role in that offense has looked like over the last couple of years. 1,400 yards? 1,200 yards in 14 games, 1,500 yards. Now, Zack Moss, not Joe Mixon, not Joe Mixon. But if I can get 80% out of that, 70% out of that, I'm still looking at 1,200-ish yards out of this dude. He's going to be the primary back there. It's an offense that, assuming Joe Burrow can stay upright, is going to be highly successful. And he is never, ever, 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 ever going to be the primary thing that defenses focus on in that offense. With the existence of T. Higgins and the existence of one Jamar Chase, no defensive coordinator is going to go, let's stop Zack Moss.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So he's always going to have the best running situation. He's going to have the best boxes. And he's proven that when he was in Indianapolis, even if he doesn't have that situation, he can still be successful.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
Zack Moss, and he's cheap. Bro is so cheap still.
That's why these two running backs, league winners is obviously tongue in cheek. It's obviously
Of course
outlandish to be calling guys league winners in May, but we bring these guys up because I think both guys are going to have value regardless of injury. Stevenson, Chase Brown could be healthy all year long, and these guys will have value given their skill set and given what they can bring to their offenses. So you get them now while they're still not really being looked at, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens to the races, but man, when you play this game long enough, you've just seen so many shitbag running backs just take off that you're like, you know what? If he makes a roster, I'd much rather throw him on the back of my roster than KJ Osborne or, Kendrick Bourne. I know I'm thinking of Patriot guys, but still, you don't want them on the team. We don't want those. But you do want these league winners, Zack Moss, Antonio Gibson. So we didn't just give you 10 Dynasty Sleepers, mofos. We gave you 12. Dynasty Sleepers, you need to add on to your Dynasty squads now before people wake up and realize that they're a lot better than the market is giving them credit for. Jerry, this was a blast. Thank you so much for coming on, hanging out, talking ball for an hour. But before you go, let everyone know, where can they find you? Where can they get all your content that you guys are doing over at Dynasty Warzone, all that stuff? Plug away.
I mean, you just said it. Dynasty Warzone, man. I mean, we're on the Player Profiler Network. I am looking in the chat. I see all you. I see you familiar faces. I love y'all. So I don't really have to pitch it in truth, because here's the thing about the Player Profiler Hive. Y'all are some loyal motherfuckers, man. And I love and appreciate it. Every one of you. I see the comment by Curdy, Matty and Jerry absolutely crushing it. It's a little thing for you to say. I promise you it means a ton. Because I started doing this kind of stuff, and it was me and Randy, and I had a laptop, and I was facing a wall, and nobody listened to us. And it was just me and my buddy talking. And that's all it was. And so to be in a situation where I'm at now, where I'm surrounded by a ton of people that are exponentially smarter than me, and I steal the hell out of all of their ideas so that I can be better because I want to beat you in a league, and I want you to cry, and I want to taste your tears. And that's why I'm happy to be here. I love being here. I love the support. I really do. It means the absolute effing world to me. Matty, kick-ass show. Had an awesome time. What else you got for me?
You're the best, Jerry. Thank you. And you talk about the player profiler, Hive, the community. It's been a long time coming.
To
Yesterday,
interrupt
we
real
tweeted
quick,
out.
Vic, that Tua trade was good, man. You a liar. Don't besmirch my good name, sir.
Yeah, he said. I mean, he gave him credit though. Jerry good. Tua trade was bad, but Jerry's good. Shout out to you, Vigsy. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Shout out to everyone player profile. 10 years strong now, from 2014 to 2024, and there is zero sign of stopping. As long as we have awesome people in the community, like each and every one of you, you know, like Jerry said, it means the world. You guys are the absolute best. This was an absolute blast of a show. You can find me on, at X, Matty Kiwoom, game plan, trade gods, all this stuff here at Player Profiler. The draftrankings.com. You can check that out too. We got a lot going on. We're hitting the summer, but content ain't stopping, Jerry. Dynasty never sleeps. So, ladies and gentlemen, keep game planning, my friends, and I will see you next week. Peace.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.